What's up guys, Adam Drake here, and today I want to do a 2021 Roar 1/8 Fuel Nationals recap. But before I get into the recap, how the event went for me, how it went for some of my teammates and other racers, I first want to just give a huge shout out to Krista and Kevin from LCRC Raceway and their entire family and crew. They go above and beyond, and I know I've said it in the past, but if you've never been to LCRC, it's kind of a bucket list track facility. They host many events throughout the year, and when hosting a Roar National, it's really difficult because you have Roar that comes in and they have their rules and how they do things, and then for a track you have your normal rules and how you normally do things. So you're kind of trying to intertwine and work together. And hats off to their entire crew. They did an amazing job. They go above and beyond. They make sure that everyone goes home feeling special. That's kind of the best way that I can explain it. Just want to run down some of the amenities really quick that they have at the facility. They had a playground for kids. They have camping, so full hookups and also dry camping. Dirt oval track, off-road track. The one night they had a live band. They had a food vendor that was there all weekend cooking, and even right down the road, a little gas station that has a deli, makes amazing sandwiches. That's where we ate almost every day. They had a donut trailer the one night. They're always walking around making sure everyone has what they need, handing out trash bags. They have cigarette places to dispose of your cigarettes. Even the porta-johns, like they had the porta-johns pumped like I think it was every other day, so they never got bad, which if you've been to an RC race, you know they can get pretty bad. But again, hats off to them. Looking forward to going back there in August for the Mugen Challenge. Always have a great time, not only on the track but off the track, because just great group of people. So as far as my race goes, it has its ups and downs, which I think, you know, at a major race, it can't always go perfectly smooth, but it had some shining moments and also had some difficult moments. So start out Q1, Nitro Buggy was on a pretty good run, just coming through the roller section. Must have got a rock, didn't flip, crash, just rolling through the turn, engine stopped. Rondo was pitting for me, she ran out, fired it back up, ran the rest of the race, came in, idled perfect, so I'm assuming that it was a rock that stopped Q1 short. In Q2, the way that they were doing the track was, with there being 4 rounds of qualifying, they were blowing the track every 4 races, and then each round they would start with the next race in line. So everyone got a blown track, 1 after they blew it, 2 after they blew it, and then 3 after they blew the track. So in Q2, I had what was going to be my dustiest track. I was in the B heat, and then the A heat was going to have the cleanest track. So I knew that the A heat was going to be super fast. So my goal going into Q2 was try to win the B heat and just put in a really clean, solid run, knowing that I was going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage for the track conditions. I did that. I put in a clean, consistent run. And I think that was actually my best run of the weekend, points-wise and driving. Q2, this time I would have been, I think, 2 after they blow the track, so a little bit better track. The A heat wasn't going to have the blown track. They were going to have the dustier track. And knowing that there was weather potentially coming in for Q4, because I had the flame out in round 1, I'm like, again, just put in a solid run. Try to have 2 runs out of your 3 so that I'm kind of solid into the semifinal. If we got round 4, I could try to go for it in round 4. So did the same thing, not the fastest run, but a solid run. And then Q4, halfway through the truck portion of Q4, rain came in and that canceled Q4. So qualifying was cut a little bit short. I kind of did what my goal was. I didn't qualify as high as I wanted, but I did qualify directly into the semifinal for Sunday. So even with a little bit of a rough start with the rock in Q1, was able to kind of put in 2 solid runs and qualify directly into the semi. Okay, so now we'll go into the semifinal. So I started the semifinal, I believe, in 9th. 5 people were going to go direct from each semifinal, plus the next 2 fastest drivers. So it could potentially be 5 and 7, 6 and 6, but basically there were 12 spots available since Dakota was TQ and he went directly into the final. And looking at the semifinals, I felt like I was in the odd semifinal. I felt like the even semifinal was a bit more stacked, which I think to some guys, they want to be in the kind of less stacked or a little bit easier semifinal. But my thinking was kind of the opposite. Like, I feel like when you're in the more stacked semifinal, it's maybe a bit more difficult to get one of the direct 5 positions. But I feel like all the guys have maybe a little bit more experience, will race a little bit cleaner, and there's more potential that everyone will just kind of freight train and 7 guys will come out of that semifinal. You still got to put in the lap times and push the pace, but the semifinal I was in, we took off. I had a bit of a rough start, kind of got cleaned out on the first lap a little bit, but it's 30-minute semifinal, so just put my head down, kind of slowly worked my way through the pack. I think got up to maybe 6, so was kind of right where I needed to be. Coming in for the first pit stop, had a little bit of a hiccup in the first pit stop, flame out, cost me some time. So again, just kind of had to put my head down, try to grind away, kind of claw my way back to the front. And the challenge that I had was I made some changes to my car for the semifinal because I knew the grip was going to come up, and I was afraid that the car was going to be a little bit aggressive. So I went up in diffs a little bit, and it made the car really nice and easy to drive, but trying to push the car, it just didn't have as much pace as it maybe did in qualifying. Again, easy to drive, but easy to drive is never fast. So made some mistakes trying to push and ended up 8th in the semifinal. So unless there was disqualifications, I was basically eliminated from the final, which is a bummer, but again, it happens sometimes in racing. I mean, Ryan Mayfield hasn't made the final the last couple of years, and he's the best driver in the world. So a bit of a bummer, but it happens sometimes in racing. Then comes the drama. So I come back from marshalling, and I'm told that Cole Ogden, who won the odd semifinal that I was in, his tank was over the limit and that he's going to be disqualified. So you never want to see that. You never want to see, especially someone who wins a semifinal, not be able to race in the final. But Roar, they put their best effort to try to make it to where Cole had more than enough time to have his tank cool down to be able to pass Tech. I think there were some people and some teams that were trying to push to, it fails once, you have 10 or 15 minutes, they retest, and then if it fails a second time, you're out. Well, there's some discretion with the rules, and because it was the hottest day, Roar was kind of trying to give the benefit of the doubt to Cole. I believe they retested him a 3rd and maybe even a 4th time, which unfortunately every time he failed. And this created a lot of drama. And then it got even worse. So then the second semifinal, they tested the top 3's fuel tanks. Ty Tessman winning that semifinal. So they test his car first, and he didn't pass Tech. So they set his car to the side. They move on to Ryan Mayfield's car. They test his car. He doesn't pass. I don't remember who was 3rd, maybe possibly Tebow, I believe. I believe he did pass. So they did the cool down period. They retested Tessman's car. Again, he didn't pass. They retested Ryan Mayfield's car, and he did pass. So to try to be on the same page like they were with Cole, they gave another grace period for Tessman. And on the third time, he also did not pass. So the two semifinal top finishers, Cole Ogden and Ty Tessman, were disqualified and not able to race the final. And I'm going to just kind of share my 2 cents on this, because so many people have gone online and criticized Roar, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I feel Roar could do better. I feel that Roar could do a better job listening to the people that are on the committee, and also listening to the group of manufacturers that have gone to Roar and had meetings with Roar. But at the end of the day, the Roar committee people are, they're volunteers. And it may sound kind of harsh, but you kind of get what you pay for. I feel like they're all good guys. I feel like they're trying to do the best job that they can, but they're maybe not as into the racing side as what they maybe once were. But at the end of the day, these guys not passing tech was not Roar's fault. Could the testing have been done a little bit different to maybe help? Yes. But the way that they tested the tanks is the same way that I've seen them test tanks in all my years of racing. And I don't totally agree with it, but this is the way that they've always done it. And the main reason why I don't agree with it is because when everything is fully saturated with heat and you hook a pump up to the tank, you have no idea of knowing how much that's going to grow or expand the tank. Now, it can change depending on the ambient temperature. It can change depending on humidity. There's just so many variables. But that's the way that they've always done it. I personally have been disqualified for having a tank over the limit. It's been many years. It may have even been at LCRC when they hosted the last Fuel Nationals. But it's the way that they've done it. And for me personally, I knew going into the final day, it was going to be the hottest day. I started with my tank where I always run it with the full block just to be safe. So it's going to be way under. And I didn't even tech my tank through practice and qualifying. I knew it was going to be under, but I waited till Sunday, the hottest day, because every time you tech your tank throughout the week of the race and you're hooking up a pump, you're potentially expanding the tank. So I waited till Sunday, the hottest day, went and checked my tank. And with their syringe, you have kind of like a bottom bowl or cup, and then it narrows down and it has like a really tall stem before it gets to the line. Well, with my tank, I made sure that the fuel didn't even start to go up into the stem. A lot of guys, they'll go to where it's halfway and say, it's, 2-3 cc's. Well, unfortunately, that syringe isn't marked, so you don't really know exactly where you're at. So I just try to err on the side of safety. And again, even erring on the side of safety, there's been times where I've been disqualified for my tank being too big. I feel like I kind of learned that lesson, so now I try to make my tank even smaller, especially on hotter days. And again, a tough lesson for Cole and Ty. It was unfortunate to not see two of the best guys have a chance to race in the final. Ultimately, it is what it is. It's racing, and it is what it is. So we'll move on to truck final. I wasn't in the truck final, but I was in the pits helping kind of assist Mike Trury, who was pitting for Ryan Mayfield. Trury flew into the race purely just to pit Mayfield. As you know, Trury and I have been good friends for many, many years. Also really good friends with Ryan Mayfield. Mike and Ryan live close together in Arizona. And Mike actually came out to DNC, helped pit for Ryan. He also raced there. But for the Fuel Nationals, he came out 100% just to pit. He was just there for Ryan and the rest of the Mugen team. It was awesome to have him there at the races, and he pretty much took charge. I helped a little bit, just kind of picking up the truck during the fuel stops, but Churi did all the rest and did an awesome job. Ryan was able to take home the victory, basically led start to finish, started on pole as TQ and brought it home. For the Nitro buggy main, Mike pulled something in his back. He's had a little bit of, I guess, a lingering back injury, and he felt like he pulled something in his back during the semifinal, pitting for Ryan. So he asked if I would pit Ryan in the final, but he said he would be there to kind of assist or help like I did for him in truck. So I ended up pitting for Ryan in the buggy final, but before the buggy final, I took a little bit of time to just kind of help Ryan and Tanner. They were our two guys in the final, so I went through, I made their tanks a little bit smaller since it was going to be an hour final and the potential of the tank being even more saturated with heat. So we reduced the size of their tank a little bit. Ryan and Mike kind of checked the clutch, did a once over, put air filter on, and then I kind of helped or listened to the tune on Ryan's car, and then moved on to help Tanner. And I kind of noticed with Tanner's engine, just the very, very faint or start of like a little bit of bearing noise. And I told Tanner, I said, hey, I don't want to freak you out, but we need to change your rear bearing. And he's like, well, we don't have much time. And I said, well, run up there and find out how much time we have. Comes running back. He's like, there's starting driver introduction in 11 minutes. It's a piece of cake. Let's pull the engine out. I had his dad, Chris, Churi, everyone kind of helping. And we got the bearings changed, fired it back up, bench tuned it, and he was on his way, ready for the final. But as far as the final goes, overall it was a super smooth final. Hats off to Ryan. He drove super, super awesome. Also, congrats to Aiden Horn. He kept Ryan honest for the whole hour. At the very end, Ryan maybe creeped away a little bit, but for the most part, Aiden was right there. He was right there in the mix. Aiden was doing one less stop than Ryan. We changed Ryan's pit strategy at the last minute just to kind of err on the side of safety for if the filter got a little dirty or the tires were worn. But overall, it was super clean final and good battle with those two. And just overall, team effort. It was awesome. Again, Mike Churi being there, helping out, Tanner, Chris, Rhonda, all the other, Mugen locals and supporters. It was awesome. It's kind of been a long time coming to see Ryan back on the top step of the podium in the Nitro Buggy class at the Roar Nationals, and well deserved. Hell of a year for him. Pretty much his worst finish at all the major races was a second in E-Buggy and a second in Truggy at Silver State. And man, you couldn't really ask for much more than that. Winning Nitro Challenge in all three classes, winning Silver State in Nitro Buggy, and winning Truck and Buggy at the Roar Fuel Nationals. Overall, awesome year. We're not done yet. Still have a lot more races to go. We have the Mugen Challenge coming up. Plan to do Southern Nats and a bunch of other races. I'm also going the Big Apple Challenge. But yeah, pretty awesome accomplishment for Ryan. And for myself and Rhonda and our business, it was pretty cool to have the last 3 years, or the last 6 Roar 1/8 Fuel National Championships were won with drivers that use our break-in service and that we also help provide service and repairs for their engines. So again, thank you to all those guys. Thank you to all the average guys and local racers also that support us. But it's pretty cool to see guys win at the highest level and kind of show our hard work paying off.